Nope.
And we are live. How you doing, Bobby?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. We've had a little bit of a hiatus, haven't we?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah, had a lot going on. Had a lot to handle and deal with, and just glad to be back. I want to thank everybody for being here. We got a great show tonight. Happy 4th to everybody out there celebrating our Independence Day out there. Played around with the intro a little bit. What'd you think? What'd you think?
It reminded me of somebody who used to be on a team.
Yep. Yep. But pretty cool, pretty interesting. Add a little bit of fun to it and whatnot. But we got a really good guest tonight. His name is Chris Cacace. God damn it! I already messed it up. Case, man, you know what? He will tell me when he comes back on. Everybody knows my memory is just terrible. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight and joining us. We have Chris is going to come on and he's going to talk about some things that he's dealt with, some things that he's learned, and he's going to present us with another way of looking at these things. A lot of people think that these things may be biblical, and they very well may be. And everybody's thinking Nephilim, but Chris is coming at it with a different angle. And when I seen him at the Bigfoot conference in Ocala, and I listened to everything he had to say, he had Bible verses to back up stuff that he was saying. And it's in that book. It's either all true or it's not. And I think it's just going to be really, really interesting. It might open up a lot of people's eyes and minds once they hear Chris speak about things. And just for our people that are out there watching, you got some few people. And just remember, we are a kid-friendly show. We got some children in the audience that watch. So we'll, if you can, in the comments, not be too rude or say too many bad words and whatnot. Kind of keep these minds as innocent as long as they can. So with that, let's go ahead and bring on Chris, and we'll let Chris introduce himself and actually let Chris say his last name for people that aren't going to butcher it like myself. Everybody, welcome Chris. Chris, bud, how you doing?
Good. How you doing? Yeah, it's
Not
Cacace. Not a big deal, man.
Cacace?
Cacace.
Why is that so hard for? Well, it's just my memory. Chris
That's
Cacace.
Right.
Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself. You don't have to go into the day you were born and what weight you were and whatnot. You don't even have to tell us what you do for a living, but just kind of give us a roundabout about who you are and then
right.
how you kind of got in the hole where we're all at.
Yeah, it's I like breathing. I like food. There's nothing special about me. I'm average as they come. I enjoy shooting. I enjoy camping. I love off-roading. Love Jeeps. I've done some of that stuff, and that's really about it, man.
Yeah,
like heavy metal.
Oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, if the song is good, it can be any genre. It's that music that makes you want to drive your car fast. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I got you. We grew up in that era in the 80s. That's where.
Yeah. Dude, to look back now, man, it was the best musicians I think ever back then. You had the talent to do it. If you couldn't do it on the record, you didn't do it at all. It's just the way things have changed. Kind of sucks.
You were preaching to the choir here, man.
I know.
Go ahead, say it, Bob. Go ahead. Bobby's a guitar player. We were in a band for 20 plus years together. So we understand 100% about what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And we could play what we were doing. So
yeah, a lot of people don't understand that back in the 80s, if you couldn't recreate what you did on the album, just don't do it. Because if you tried and it sucked, that was it.
Yeah.
You were now labeled as being a crappy musician, singer, whatever the case was.
Exactly. If you couldn't do it live, don't do it in the studio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. Well, how did you get in? Before I ask how did you get involved, maybe once I ask this question, it might be how you got involved. Was there anybody in your family or your friends or your inner circle growing up that had any experiences or maybe said anything to you about this stuff?
Nah, dude. Watching TV in search of Leonard Nimoy, had an interest in the topic. Like most people that are into that kind of stuff. It's just as time gone on, went on in my life, I continued watching it. You know, what was that? The Monster Quest. You know, just loved that stuff. Watching that.
Yeah.
Eventually, as an adult, I realized listening to these encounters, and you see the faces, you know the names, and who's that?
That's Mikey. Mikey's our other team member.
Cool.
Mikey, welcome to it's been a minute since you've been on, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Mike, anything? Are you muted, Mike?
Mike. He's there.
What's going on? I can't hear nothing.
That's because nobody's saying anything. We thought you were talking.
Hold on. Let me try to come back on.
We can hear you.
Oh, we got you now.
I don't think he can hear us.
I got you. He's probably got us muted.
Yeah. I don't think he can hear us.
Well, we'll let you go. We'll let you go ahead.
Yeah. So as an adult, I just started realizing, you know, these people are willing to suffer ridicule to let us know something's going on. And I was like, I can't believe they're making this up just to get made fun of, you know, so something's got to be taking place. And that's ultimately where I ended up being at camp one day, and it was during the daytime. And I brought the issue of Bigfoot up, asking my buddy. My son was with me. He's 32 now. He was 16 at the time. You know, hey, you know, what do you guys think? You think something's going on? And they all had their agreements as to, you know, it's very possible, right? And I brought up my perspective. You know, it just doesn't make any sense why somebody would make this up just to be ridiculed, made fun of. And later on that night, man, one of these people, and they are people, let loose with that whooping sound that's featured in the Sierra sounds from Ron Moorhead. And the cadence went whoop, 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 whoop. And it was so loud and powerful, you could feel it. And that's where I knew something was going on. And, you know, Bigfoot became a reality that night. And the funny thing is, it was an active campground. There were more people than just us. And as time went on, I began to realize that they're not animals and they are human beings, and you can interact with them on some level. And everything changed in my situation, which we'll get into more detail about that later on. But yeah, that was basically it, man. You know, when you realize that these people are out there, or these things, whatever you think they are, and you realize we're not being told anything of what's taking place, you begin to realize, damn, how much am I actually being lied to by my government? And it's not just our government, it's around the world. It seems like there's an active effort to discredit the topic, or even just flat ignore it. It's disturbing. So here we are trying to find out what's going on.
Do you have a theory on why? We all are left scratching our heads on why. We know that here in Florida, the FWC is actively covering them up.
It's okay. I'm a born again Christian, and I do have a potty mouth. What it means to be born again, and I got to get this out there just so people understand that I don't want to be looked to as a teacher. This is going to go down the Bible road, and the reason why that is because the Bible says that teachers are held to a higher standard, and I don't want to be looked to as a teacher. So I'm purposely discrediting myself by dropping F-bombs, because I don't want you to listen and believe me. Listen and then go read the Bible for yourself. Get out in the woods like you guys have done. You know they're real, and kind of weigh out what you think is going on based off of what the Bible says. So with that being said, going into why I think this is being covered up is because these people, whether you think they're the Nephilim or you think they're the Edomites like I do, it validates the Bible and what it says. And I don't think they want us reading that book. I don't think they care if you go to church, because if you go to church and read the Bible, you're going to realize that what you're being taught in church and what the Bible says doesn't necessarily add up that way either. And I think it's very, very vital that everybody sit down and read the book for yourself. And if you do, my advice is the King James or the New King James. And the reason being is because as time has gone on, I've noticed that the newer translations, they're losing what I call their soul conviction properties. The translations are getting watered down. They're not as intense as what the King James or the New King James are. So, but I think it's ultimately because these people validate the Bible and what it says, and they don't want us reading that book. So, and that's on an individual basis. It's vital that you read it.
You know, I've heard that the Bible the interpretation of the Bible has been changed to like what the BFRO does. The BFRO takes reports and leaves out all the strangeness, the things that they don't want people to know about or whatnot. And in the Bible, I've heard that the newer Bibles have left out things that about what we're talking about that kind of go into gray areas, and the newer versions are just making it black and white on what we need to know to not manipulate, but reprogram, how we look at religion itself or whatnot, and not as a whole, but just what's been fed to us in that newer version.
That could be. I mean, I don't really dig too much into it anymore. I've been born again for 30 years plus, something like that. And I quit going to church 7 years after I had started. And it was just what I'm reading, what I'm hearing, it's not adding up. So either the problem's me or it's this place. And eventually, thanks to the internet, I found more and more people like myself that are like, yeah, there's something wrong with the church. And a lot of actual Christians, born again Christians, are just walking away. There's definitely something wrong with that building with the cross on top. So, like I said, as far as what you were talking about being left out, it's definitely when I first came across reading about giants in the Bible, your brain doesn't want to process giants, right? So people try to look for a different possibility of what it was referencing. And there's one theologian out there, he's passed on now, by the name of Chuck Missler. He was the first one to start talking about the Nephilim that I came across. And when he described what was taking place, it just started making more sense. Must have been what's going on. So why they do it, I don't know, man.
Well, the pamphlet that you were handing out at the Ocala National Conference, I've read it 2 or 3 times. And it really makes you think about things differently if you're thinking that Bigfoot is biblical. Can you go into a little bit of the history and the evolution of the Edomites, and how you have presented it in your book that you have?
Yeah.
And educate, because that's the way I took it. I was dumber now than I was when you met me. I read that thing 3 times and still couldn't describe it to anybody. So you kind of educate us on all that.
Yeah. So when it comes to the Old Testament, your present day church pretty much ignores it, which is a shame because it gives you an example of how God operates with his character, the cause and effect of sin, which is disobedience to God. That's what sin means. It's disobedient. So when it comes to this issue with the Edomites, God tells Rebekah that I'm bringing forth 2 people from your womb, and I'm going to make them both great nations. Esau was the firstborn, born hairy all over, a man of the woods, a mighty hunter. Those are our first clues of what's going on, which my little booklet, points that out. Jacob was the secondborn. Jacob was the start of the Jews. Up until that point, everybody was a Gentile. So Jacob is now the start of the Jewish people, and 12 tribes ultimately came from his bloodline. And then when it comes to the Edomites, it's funny because to dig into the topic, what happened with my situation was the only thing that they've ever said to me in my spending time with them, when I realized they were the Edomites, and I'll get into that event, I was for 8 months begging for a conversation. None of these people would talk to me. They're clearly there. And eventually it occurred to me one night to ask them, are you allowed to speak to me? And one of them said no. And based off of that encounter, I hate to use it, interaction, because at this point in time, I'd been spending time with them once a month for several hours, and they always let me know they're there. They'll do something to let me know. Usually it's something new, sometimes not, but they've always done something to let me know I'm not wasting my time. They're still there. And based off of that, I went to the Bible and started reading about Esau, Edom, Edomites. And when I'm reading about the Edomites, I noticed that there were 3 other people that were mentioned with them in judgment, and that was the Moabites, the Elamites, and the Ammonites. And so I started digging into those people, which I've never considered even going down the road of these other people. And while I'm reading about them, I'm beginning to realize, wow, so this is like starting to add up. I think these people are all going by the same name, but I'm sorry, different names, but they're all the same people. And ultimately, that's how I came to the conclusions that I did. There's so much information. And for you guys that got the booklet and to hear everything going on in it, it's difficult to try to remember it. That's why I wrote it down. and it's really a study guide for you guys. But there are other Easter eggs going on in there that I did not put in for you to discover on your own, which will start making sense as you do your own studying, which requires you to just sit down and read the Old Testament. It's a lot, I get it, but if you realize that the main issue of the Old Testament was one event, and most of the books touch on it, and that's the Babylonian captivity of the Jews, it's really easy to process. And then when you start getting into the Nephilim, you start reading about the Edomites and the warning that the Jews and the Edomites are going through. They don't like each other. And mind you, God tells them both, hey, you both are kin. I want you two to love each other. Neither one of them did. The Edomites and the Jews are just as guilty of this hatred going back and forth with each other. So it's kind of odd. I really, that's one of the questions I would love to ask the Edomites. Like, guys, why did you hate the Jews so much? Because, yeah, Jacob stole your blessing. Like, here's what happens. Esau gets sent out to get some food for his dad, which was Isaac at the time. And Jacob comes in and he puts hair on his hand and he is wearing Esau's clothes and he sounds like Jacob. And Isaac references, I hear Jacob's voice, but it's he's getting across that he's trying to be like Esau. And so he's touching his hands. He smells him. And he thinks it's Esau, but he's kind of iffy about it. So when Jacob gets Esau's blessing, it's kind of weak worded. May the Lord allow you to live off the dew of the earth, something like that. And he continues going on. And then when you get to the issue of Esau coming in and the deception was realized, and Esau's begging his dad, do you have a blessing for me? And he's weeping. What Isaac does is he undoes what he said to Jacob for Esau. He tells Esau, you will live off the fat of the land. And the wording gets more stronger. So I think Jacob thought something might have been going on. And it all ties into these people being able to mimic any sound, which I'm sure you guys have heard that before. And so to realize what was going on back then, why Isaac was listening to Jacob, who he thinks is Esau, but he hears Jacob's voice. He probably saw Esau mimic Jacob to a T, sounding like Jacob. So you got this 9 to 14 foot tall dude sounding a little like a little one of us, and this coming out of this big body. It was probably pretty funny, is what I'm guessing. So he's not even questioning the fact that he's thinking it's Esau, but he hears Jacob's voice. Probably saw him do that many, many times, get a good laugh out of the situation. And then when he realizes that the deception was there, and the wording gets stronger for Esau. Like, I believe that the Edomites, they get the first dibs on whatever the earth produces. Abraham and Isaac were dealing with the Nephilim crap. So he understood how important it was for these people to have full bellies, which is why I believe he blessed Esau the way he did, that he will live off the fat of the earth, meaning that whatever they get, whatever the earth produces, they get first dibs on it. Which, if you dig into the Bible, I'm not aware of anywhere that the Edomites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, or the Elamites went into a famine, but the Jews did. It's kind of interesting stuff.
Yeah. You had said in the book that God had given them names and then changed their names and looked at them differently once their names were changed. Yes. Can you go into that a little bit?
I can. When it came to, this is something you're going to learn from the church. I don't know that this is biblical, but it makes sense. It's one of those things where you apply common sense to what's going on in the Bible to help you understand what's taking place. So Jacob gets his name changed to Israel. And so when Jacob is being obedient, God will refer to him as being Israel. When he's disobedient, he refers to him as Jacob. So when it came to Esau, the Bible says he hated Esau, and he also destroyed the descendants of Esau. But he doesn't say anything bad about Edom, which is the same guy. And God declares that Edom is the father of the Edomites. That's all there is to it.
And he declared him a good guy because he decided to obey God.
In which now, I believe that event was killing Nimrod, because it was that event where all that ended up taking place where it changed.
And then describe what it says about the appearance of Edom.
Just that he's hairy all over, a man of the woods, a mighty hunter. That was it. And reddish in color, whatever that means.
Did it say anything about
size?
Size, family, children,
just that he had descendants. Yeah, just that he had descendants.
Okay.
It's when it comes to the Ammon and Moabite people, where I'm arguing that they're the same people as the Edomites, it was only because understanding how big Esau was, based off of the book of Jasher, which has been kept out of the Bible, and then understanding that Petra was the Edomites' last known location. It's like an information puzzle putting this thing together. It was a pain in the ass trying to figure out what's going on. It took me a few years. I knew they tied in biblically. I just didn't know how. And then,
what did it say about the size of Edom?
Well, what it is that in the book of Jasher, Nimrod is known as Gilgamesh, Amon-Ra. Another name is Orion the Hunter. Every major culture has some history of this guy. He was a Nephilim king. He's the guy that started the Tower of Babel. Ultimately ended up, that place got destroyed. And in the book of Jasher, he's jealous of Esau because Esau is a better hunter. And in the Bible, these two guys are the only guys referred to as being great hunters. And so Esau is sick of Nimrod's mouth, and he's waiting for Nimrod to show up. Nimrod shows up with these two bodyguards, and he runs at Nimrod and cuts his head off with a sword. So if you dig into Mesopotamian lore, you'll find out that Nimrod, also known as Gilgamesh, stood somewhere between 9 and 14 feet in height. So in order for Esau to be able to run at him and cut his head off with a sword means they were similar size. However big Nimrod was, Esau was around that high as well. And it's just it's information puzzle. You got to put this together. It's like I said, it was a daunting task. It really was.
Yeah, and some of the pictures of the temples and stuff, their doorways were like 15, 20 feet tall.
And did you see the insides? I think the insides were even more impressive. They're freaking huge. It's chiseled. It's beautiful. It just how is the word symmetric that I'm looking for? What just the angles are precise. What was done. Yeah. And if historians want to tell me that it was people our size with a chisel and a hammer banging away at that shit.
What ladders did we have? Back there to suspend in the air, scaffolding.
There's that. Let's say we had it, but they also tell us 4,000 years ago everybody was just too busy trying to survive. When did we have time to do that shit?
Yeah,
who could?
What was the purpose of making a 20-foot tall doorway? Why?
Just to get in and out. Have a dwelling. A dwelling. I mean,
no. What would
for an average human being?
I see. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm thinking.
Why would we go through the effort to make the doorway 20 foot tall?
I agree. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
And 30-foot ceilings. Why would we do that?
It's not like these are 20 by 20 rooms. They're freaking huge. And I can't even imagine how much time that would take for people like us to sit there and bang away at that. It's
the one looked like a gymnasium size, almost.
It was massive.
Yeah.
And the place is called Petra. For anybody that wants to look it up, the country of Jordan used to be ancient Edom, and the place is called Petra. And you can find all sorts of pictures online. And it's just there's no way people our size made that place. There's no way.
So, did the Edomites have any kind of? Did it ever describe their abilities or their strengths or their powers, or were they stronger than normal men? Were they
only that in the book of Obadiah they declare who can bring us down to the ground. That's a death declaration of who can kill us. And God explains to them it's because of their pride that this is getting ready to happen, the judgment that they're under. And God declares out of his own mouth, this is coming from the mouth of the Lord. He says, though the Edomites ascend to where the eagles are, and though the Edomites live among the stars, I, the Lord, will bring them down to the ground. So Indian nations, some Indian tribes have been saying for hundreds of years, probably thousands of years, that Sasquatch is coming from the stars. I don't know if you've ever come across that information or not.
I've heard it, yeah.
Yeah, so when you start adding up what our people are saying through the centuries, the Indians included, and what the Bible has to say, it just starts to make sense. This is what we're dealing with. But other than them basically saying that they're invincible and then God personally getting involved to discipline these people, there's only been two other people besides myself that understood how extremely rare that is, that God personally gets involved to deal with somebody. Because usually what he does when he has a problem with the nation, he'll send a representative in to represent him, and he'll deal with that nation through that individual. For God to intervene himself is quite significant for the Old Testament for that to happen. And that's not the only place where he says that. God talks about how in the Yes, it was. It was part of Petra in Indiana Jones. That's correct. It's also in Transformers, the second movie.
Okay.
I'm answering some lady that.
Yeah, no, Diane. She's one of our mods.
Gotcha.
We got some people on here that are considerably more versed in the scripture than
Gotcha.
me
Oh,
and Bobby.
fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
hey, for the potty mouth, I apologize, but you understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. I don't want people to look to me at answers. I want you guys reading the Bible for yourselves.
Yeah.
Question everything anybody says about the Bible, question it. Go read it directly for yourself. But as far as the second place where God deals with these people personally is that when he returns after the Revelation judgments, the Edomites that survive the Revelation judgments, he puts down himself. So you're talking again about a people, for whatever their abilities are, can survive the Revelation judgments. And when Jesus returns, he's putting them down and they're done as a people in the natural sense, I believe. So those that are born again Christians, Old Testament saints like Esau, those people get to live forever and ever in the kingdom of God. And then the ones as far as a natural sense, like Gentiles, are in the same boat as the Edomites. Once God is done with the Gentiles, we're done. We will not be breeding anymore. The only ones that's promised to are the Jews. And I believe, and don't hold me to this might not be biblical, but I have heard before that the Jews chose God, which is why they've got the blessings of everlasting existence, life, so on and so forth, that he chose, that because they chose him, and almost like it was a mutual thing, I guess, which makes me wonder if God went to Gentile nations as well, offering them up his worship, I guess. And the Jews chose him. But I don't know if that's biblical. That's what I heard. So please, if I'm wrong, correct me but leave comments down and say, hey, this guy was wrong. This is what it meant. Okay, so I'm okay being wrong. Just so everybody knows, I reserve the right to be wrong. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. And right now, I'm the only one, it seems, except for a few here and there. And I hope more people jump on board. I hope more people head out in the woods and call out to the Edomites and befriend these people. They're actually a blast when you realize what you're dealing with is a supernatural human being. They're not the Nephilim. If they were the Nephilim, we'd be enslaved again. It'd be all the same problems all over again. And that's not what's going on.
Yeah. When you first, what was your first experience before you realized what you were dealing with, like into detail? Did you have any sightings? Were you just noises, knocks?
It was the sound
like that.
Yeah, it was the sound that night. That was, again, it was so powerful you could feel it. And then there was it was about maybe 6 or 8 months later, I went back to the same location with a friend of mine, and I heard that groaning, that Ohio moan.
Yeah.
I heard that. And that was actually under the sound of an ATV that was coming in where this particular campsite is. And I don't know if I saw one of these people or not, but it's midnight, it's dark. I'm hanging out. I want to see one of these people. I know they're there. At this point in time, I've heard probably about maybe a year or two of Bigfoot encounters, and I'm realizing that they're in national forests, wildlife management areas, nature preserves, Indian reservations, and believe it or not, some military bases. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is all government protected property. The government's got to know something's going on. What the hell? So I'm beginning to realize, okay, more and more people are saying that they've got multiple encounters, and it sounds ridiculous when you first dig into this topic. You think that there's you think there's some sort of a species that's on the verge of extinction. I've come to the conclusion that these people probably number into the billions, maybe even the trillions, because they are multidimensional. No one's killing them. They're not killing themselves in wars. So who knows how many their number really is, but it's definitely not a few here and a few there. I'm convinced of that. And only because, again, what the Bible says, where God declares he's going to make them a great nation. That's still going on, even though they might not have land of their own right now. They're still multiplying. Just like if you go read the Old Testament about the angels in the book of Psalms, when you read about the angels being created, it reads present tense. He hasn't stopped creating them either. Just like us, he's still creating us. So back to the what happened there with there was a shadowy flash. It looked like it went from right to left. There was no up and down motion. Very bulky body. It was out of the corner of my eye. I don't even know for sure if I saw something or not, but I'm sitting there. I've got apples in front of my Jeep about maybe 20 feet away on this post. And I see a shadowy flash of a human figure, but again, it was massive in size. There was no running motion. It looked like a cartoon, like the old cartoons when they had like a running motion where the legs were bent, the arms were bent, and it just scooted across. It was like that. No sound, no nothing. And again, it was out of the corner. If I had blinked, I would have missed it. It was that quick what happened. And again, I'm not even sure if that was one of them or not. But I heard about shadowy flashes, so it's possible. And the flash went on the other side of a tree that was maybe 12 inches across. Nothing ended up on the other side. So I'm thinking, how in the world are they, if that was one of them, how are they able to do this? There was that, and then started going up a little bit later on after that, leaving out apples, and they'd leave a track letting you know that they got the apples. The kindergarten experiences that people get to have with these people. Eventually, I brought people up there, had more things going on. They were gifting, and then eventually, in my situation, what happened was a close friend of mine is a hunter, and so is his son. And his son believes the stories to be true, and he wanted to kill one. At this point in time, we're thinking they're animals, clever as all get out, but they're animals, and not realizing the potential danger that we were actually in, which the Edomites, to their credit, they actually backed off from interacting with us. And I think that they were protecting us from ourselves, knowing we had no idea what we're dealing with. And this young man comes up there with his dad, and they're in hunting gear. And we had activity up to the point where they showed up, and then it stopped. And to their credit, they never went up there trying to kill anybody, any Bigfoot, thinking again that they're animals. And I argued on behalf of Sasquatch to this young man. I was like, why would you want to kill one of them? Which his dad was the one, and I was the one that I was talking to. I was like, why would he want to kill one of these things, man? They did nothing to him. He goes, just to prove to the world they exist. I'm like, okay. Now, the father is iffy about it. The son's believing something's going on. And they came up there in hunting gear, and that was the last of the interaction. So what ended up happening was, a few months later, I went back up there, and I was camping, and not realizing that they had backed off. And what I would do is when I'd go camping there, I'd have a place to go urinate down by the lake. And it was kind of a cool spot. And there was no trail to get there. You had to bring, you had to go through bushes, palm fronds, dart, spider webs. And every year that we went camping, because we'd go in the cold fronts when they come through. So we only went periodically. Every time I went at the start of a new camping season for us, I'd have to find this location because there was no path to follow. And I get down there and I see this memorial to caveman. And it's a piece of wood that has the word carved in it, caveman. It's got a little rebel flag on some white rocks like you buy from Lowe's. And I'm looking at this, and I immediately think people are claiming that Sasquatch looks like Neanderthal. And now there's this memorial to this caveman. And so I started thinking maybe one of these people got killed, and this is a military kill crew that we hear about. And this was like a memorial to a fallen enemy. I took that piece of wood because I felt like it was one of the Sasquatch that got killed. And that was a soldier left that and I'm thinking they're listening to which we all know they're listening to our phones. We know this. And I thought maybe they listened to the phone. They got the location. This military kill crew went down there and killed one of these things. And I'm heartbroken. Had no idea. Well, all activity ceased. As years went on and I realized they're actually human beings, I think what they were doing was that was them that carved the word caveman in the piece of wood, letting me know that this situation is over. It's dead. We're not interacting with you anymore. That's what I believe they were messaging to me in that issue. Could be wrong, but that's where if you saw where this place was at, nobody hung out back there. There was no trail. There's only one people that saw where I would go take this leak. No one knew where I would go. And I'm convinced it was them that did this. I decided that listening to more and more encounters, I would hear of situations where, like up in Canada, there would be hunting outfits they were having some complaints. So they contacted this guy by the name of Steve Isdall on the factsbyhowtohunt.com. And they were contacting him thinking, hey, man, we're having a problem because I believe it was the elk were getting herded just inside the boundaries of a national forest. Well, in Canada, if I heard Steve correctly, it's illegal to kill an animal that's inside national forest boundaries. And this outfit is thinking it's the Sasquatch doing it. Well, I've already concluded as time went on, there are people, I'm like, well, how the hell would they know where a boundary for a national forest is? How would they know this? But it was becoming such a problem for this hunting outfit that they were losing customers and they're getting concerned about what's going on. So in this situation with me, as time went on, I concluded it was one of them that left me the message that this situation's over with. And I would go up there periodically. Nothing's going on. No, nothing. I mean, it just felt empty. And at this point in time, I didn't realize that they are multidimensional. They're probably standing around looking at me, watching what I'm doing. And I'm not putting up cameras. I never, ever did that. Just because for me, I know they exist. Cameras don't work. I concluded that much, at this point in time, 2 or 3 years into this situation. So I wasn't even going to waste my time with it because there are people that are more clever than me, have got more money than me, and they're not turning nothing up. So I'm not even going to bother. Right. I'm going to learn from what they're doing. So years go on, and I'm listening to this thing on YouTube, 50 Years Living with Bigfoot, I believe is what it was called. And this woman talks about how her grandfather could speak 3 different broken Indian languages, and they could communicate with the Sasquatch on their property. They called him Fox, and Fox was telling them that they're an ancient people. One of their ancestors was Esau, and when she said that, it was like, boom, these are the fucking Edomites. These aren't animals. I'm like, son of a bitch, more lies. Because she didn't talk about how big Esau was, and she may not have understood how big Nimrod was, but she described what happened in the book of Jasher. And at this point in time, I had already known that Nimrod and Gilgamesh were the same dude. And so when she said that Esau ran at him and cut his head off with a sword, that's where it all fell into place. I'm like, wow, these aren't animals, they're human beings. And at that point in time of my story there, I thought they were like us, just really good at hiding, super clever. I heard the supernatural things, and I'm like in the back of my head, I'm not, okay, somebody already said they exist, which I know they do. And they're going, oh, by the way, they cloak. Oh, by the way, they can read your mind. Oh, by the way, they know your intentions. Oh, by the way, they're multidimensional. Oh, by the way, they've been seen going in and out of portals. And I'd have to sit there and listen to this, like, they're already telling me that they exist, and I know they do. They're already saying, hey, I'm hanging out on batshit crazy limb here. And oh, by the way, not only do they exist, but they can do these things too. Another one that I had heard was they can find you no matter where you're at. So be careful what you deal with them when you deal with them. And time went on, and eventually me and a buddy, Joe, from work went up to the same spot, which Joe had been up there before, had some interactions going on. That was the night of the hunters. That when they showed up, everything stopped. And I had a bullhorn that I bought off of Amazon, and I projected this message into the woods 3 different times in the same spot. And I said to them, I know you're a type of people. I know that you're human beings. I know you're the Edomites. Esau was the first of your kind. I'm sorry if I made you feel threatened. No one that I know is hunting you. I said that 3 times. And my intention was just to say, hey, guys, I figured out who you are, and I'm sorry. I was not looking for more interaction. I figured if they want to interact again, they know we go camping when the cold fronts come in. We'd been going there for 6 years, roughly up to that point. We didn't even up to the point where we actually had seen, or I'm sorry, that we were camping there for about 6 years, up to the point where we heard that whooping sound, had no idea anything was going on. So I figured if they want to interact again, they know when we go camping. That took place in September. And 2 months later, September, October, 2 months later, a buddy of mine, Rob, that was there the night with the whooping sound, is contacting me, and he's freaking out. And right around Lake Apopka here in Orlando, he said he was on a bike ride at 5 o'clock in the morning, and he said he heard this gurgling noise, and he said all of a sudden there was just an explosion of something running on 2 legs. And he said it just sounded like a linebacker just getting it going through the woods where he was out on his bike ride. And he goes, of course, no one was around. And he said he heard that same whooping sound from an Ocala. And I was like, what do you mean you heard the same whooping sound? He goes, the same whooping sound that we heard in Ocala. I said, the short whoop followed by the long whoop? And he goes, yes, the same fucking sound. And I'm like, oh, shit, dude, this might have something to do with what Joe and I did back in September. And he asked me, he goes, what did you do? And I was like, well, dude, I've been telling you that they're human beings. They're not animals, and they got abilities that we don't have. And I figured if they want to interact again, they'll just wait for us to go back up there. And I was like, son of a bitch, dude, I've been hearing that they can find you no matter where you're at. I was like, what the fuck? Now all of a sudden this situation became serious. I didn't know until this moment that that was true. And this was the first supernatural thing that they've showed us that they can do. And yeah, dude, they can find you no matter where you're at. That stuff's true. I let a year go on because I don't know the culture. Again, I did not know anything going on with them in the Bible. I still hadn't sat down to read specifically what's taking place with them. And I figured, you know what, my best chance for a conversation, because I want to know, is anybody hunting you guys? Do you guys need any food? Do you need any help? You know, what's your story? And I decided to go up there by myself and got to the same location and just called out to them, Edomites, Edomites, Edomites. And boom, right off the bat, they started interacting. I started walking down to where that caveman memorial was, and I hear one of them walking through the woods as I'm talking. I stop, they stop, and I smile because I know what's going on. I look over and give them a smile. I keep walking, and we're talking. You know, I'm talking. They're walking again with me. I stop, they stop. That was going on, and I'm telling my name, where I live, my address, how to find me, which I didn't realize at this point in time. But when they came looking for my friend, they had also come by my place with this sand crane call, which I didn't realize that was them at the time. Why they were doing that and not doing the whooping sound, I have no idea. But in my neighborhood, and I live in a subdivision, we got my house, a street, house, and another street, and then houses, and then we got woods. And there was a sand crane call at like 5 o'clock in the morning when I'd go to work. And I just remember thinking it was freaking loud, dude. I felt so bad for the people that were in those houses next to the forest, because there's no way anybody's sleeping through this. And this went on for a couple weeks and it stopped. I didn't realize that they was actually them letting me know, hey, it's okay to interact again now that you figured out what's going on. Sometime after that is when they found my buddy Rob that was there that night with the whooping sound when he was on his bike ride. And that's when everything tied in together. It took me a little bit to realize, okay, they actually found me first, but for some reason they didn't do the whooping sound. I don't know why. It's one of those things I would love to ask them to do. Why didn't you do that? Now, that night with the whooping sound, there was a sound crane sound that came after the whooping sound, but it was not something that I associated with them at that point. Now it's something that I do. So I went up there and I'm begging for a conversation, right? And nighttime comes and I'm by myself and I hear them walking. I hear one coming from my right, one coming to my left. And I've told them, I got a Glock 10 millimeter on me. This is in case I come across any bears, mountain lions, or hogs, self-defense. This is not meant for you. And I showed them where it was on my body. And they're coming in on both sides and they're being quiet, which I don't know why they do that, because they're multidimensional. I probably had some right next to me. I just didn't even know it because I don't hear what's going on. You can't see them. So I hear these two coming in from either side. And all of a sudden, to my right in front of me, there's a bushel of palm fronds about maybe 20 feet away. And it just starts a ruckus, just shaking, whatever. And I don't see anything moving, but I hear the sounds of bushes, just going off.
Yeah.
And I get excited and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm getting ready to meet an Edomite. So I stand up and then I begin to realize, well, what if this is a bear, a mountain lion, or a hog? And so I get behind my Jeep. I was like, hey, guys, I don't know if that's you doing that or not. And I don't want to shoot one of you people in accident. What you're doing right now is kind of freaking me out. My imagination's running wild. I don't know if you're a mountain lion, bear, or a hog. Would you please stop? And a few moments later, they stopped. And so I sat back down and said, hey, guys, I don't mind you coming in and sit with me. That's cool. But could you do something to let me know it's you coming so I don't shoot one of you people on accident? It'd break my heart if I hurt one of you guys on accident. And again, at this point in time, I didn't realize that's not going to happen. I didn't realize the abilities that they really had. And so I'm talking, nothing really happens. And I go ahead and say my goodbyes later on that night. And I went home. And I decided that every month I want to go up there for a few hours and spend time with them. And next time I went up, I bring my phone. I'm playing some music, and I'm being like a cheesy DJ. Here's a song for you husbands and wives out there. Your boyfriends and girlfriends. I played them stuff like "Steelheart," "I'll Never Let You Go," fantastic song. I'm playing them good music.
Right.
Make you want to drive your car fast, right? So I'm up there doing this, and I said, "Hey guys, I know a lot of people that take the name of the Lord Jesus Christ in vain, and they deny his existence with the same mouth. Can I bring people up here to meet you? Because you people are linked. I'm sorry, let me back up. They deny his existence with the same mouth. I just want to get right what I said. And I said, as you know, the Bible says their mouth testifies against them. That's in the book of Job. And I said, you people are linked directly to the Bible. They can't deny you. Maybe some of these people will pick up the Bible and start reading it. Maybe some of them will humble themselves and become born-again Christians. Can I bring people up here to meet you? And I'll warn them who you are, what's going on with you. So that way, if they try any bullshit, you can come after them and you'll be justified in doing it. Will you give me one thing to let me know that that's okay? And I said, just make it a mild whoop. It doesn't need to be nothing real loud and powerful. Just something that I know is coming from you. So later on that night, it was about 200 yards away. There's another campsite from where I'm at, and I'm by myself. And I knew that there was a trailer over there. I just didn't know if there were how many people. I just knew that there was a travel trailer over there. People were camping. And I hear these two dogs just start barking. Woof, 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 right? And they sound like big dogs. And all of a sudden, I hear this other dog go, rah, but it sounded just like a dog bark. And those other two dogs shut up, and I never heard them again that night. So I took that as the one thing that they were giving me, that it's okay that I bring people up there to meet them. Later on that night, it was Christmas Eve 3 years ago, and it was really cold that night, and it's dead quiet. Now, remember, I asked them to give me one thing, so there's nothing else going on with these people. And that's something else I've come to realize, that when you go talk to them, pay attention to what you're saying. And for me, it's kind of hard to keep in mind what I'm asking or what I'm doing with them, because I assign what I say to people's faces mentally. That's how I work. So to sit there and try to keep track of what I'm saying when talking to a tree is quite difficult, right? So they did nothing else that night except for that dog bark, which the projection was completely wrong, sounded just like a dog bark. It was really awesome. And I ended up I was sitting there, it was cold, and I remember thinking, man, if they're gone, I'm just going to get out of here. Because my intention was, again, I'm begging for a conversation, and no one's talking. And I thought, if they're gone, I'm just going to go ahead and leave. So I was like, hey, guys, are you still around, or am I here by myself? And about 50 feet away to my right, I hear some shuffling going on in the brush, right? And I said, okay, if that was one of you people to my right, over to my left, I got a bin full of food, which I brought them a bin full of food to eat. And 50 feet to my left, I hear letting me know that they know the food's there. So I've told people this before, that when I'm by myself and I think about the significance of that moment, that these incredibly powerful, awesome people were kind enough to let me know, hey, little man, you're not by yourself. We're still with you. I actually will start tearing up when I think about the significance of that moment. It's just touching to me that they would even care to do that. Later on that night, I was trying to get some sleep, and I hear a little baby giggling. So I was like, okay, so I know that they've got kids, little cute baby laughter, that, little kids, how little babies when they laugh. I was like, okay, so they got kids. And I came back the next month, and again, begging for conversation. At this point in time, I'd seen an orb go by, and they started showing me some of the things that they could do, confirming that that they can do these things. And it's funny because I've heard the story, so when I saw it, it was no big deal. I was like, okay, so it was interesting. As time goes on, like I said, eventually it occurred to me one night to ask them, hey, are you guys, are you allowed to talk to me? And one of them said no. And how they responded was with an owl sound. At this point in time, they showed me that they make all sorts of different sounds. And one of them said no, but it sounded just like an owl. And I've heard that owls don't do that. When they make that who sound. Well, this sounds fantastic. Yeah. So this owl, it made a no sound, and it sounded just like an owl going, no, but it sounded just like an owl.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, and I've had, a few people up there, everyone's gotten their own experience, which cued me on and how clever these people really are. There was a guy that I think you might have met him, Joe Holland, that was with me at the Bigfoot convention. The guy that was with me, I don't know if you saw him or not.
I think he was there when I walked up.
Okay. If I didn't introduce you, I apologize. I'm an asshole.
You had a bunch of people at your table, man. I was just waiting patiently.
Okay. So I apologize if I didn't introduce you to, he has got stuff going on up in Tennessee. I'm sure that he would like to be on your show. If you ever want to talk to him, I could love that up. If you'd like to, I'll let him know. And great guy. He was actually funny. The first year, 2 years ago was the first time I was there passing out this information. And he comes up to me and he goes, "Oh, like, what's this about?" And because he's already been in his head, they're not the Nephilim. He's heard the Nephilim. He disagrees with it. Don't know what they are, but he's already decided they're not the Nephilim. And he's got activity going on up in Tennessee. And he showed me some of the pictures that he's taken, which I'm sure that he'll gladly give you those to put on your site. And he comes up, introduces himself, and hey, is this free? Yeah, go ahead and take it. Knock yourself out. And he comes back 45 minutes later and he goes, "How much did this cost you?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not a writer, and I've made a couple mistakes. I didn't like the way the things read, so I had to change it a few times. But ultimately, I'm looking at about $1,500 here. I'm sorry, it was about right around $1,300. My mistake. It was right around $1,300." And he goes, "Man, these are pretty nice, and you're not charging for them." I'm like, "No, just giving them away. I just want to get the information out there."
Pause.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
Really?
When I got your book and your pamphlet, and the picture on the cover is just so powerful, man. It's unlike an image I've never seen before, and I thought the same thing. He's giving these away, and these weren't cheap to make. And that's what I thought. I thought the same thing. I'm like, he's put money into this to get this message out. People, you're not selling it, so you're not making anything. You're not selling a product. You're not selling a shirt. You're not selling, any kind of product. You're spending your hard-earned money to put this message out, not asking for anything in return other than people to have an open mind. That's unheard of in the Bigfoot community and vendors. It's the opposite. In the Bigfoot community, and I didn't mean to cut you off and say pause. Because you brought it up, I was also thought the same thing. This had to cost you quite a penny.
Well, I appreciate you recognize that, and yes, it happened. I'm going to tell you the same thing I told Joe. Spending time with the Edomites, dude, I fell in love with these people. I would come home from spending time with them, and I would be up for days, just mesmerized by what they were showing me, that they're interacting with me, and it was just. I fell in love with them. I remember back in high school, you fell in love with that girl and you just said that you could not sleep. You just thought about her all the time. It was the same thing. I realized after a few times of dealing with this, I'm like, man, I think I'm falling in love with these people.
It was Bobby Brown when she was in the Cherry Pie video.
She was gorgeous. Yeah.
Me and every other guy on the planet. So I'm not nobody special.
Yeah. But that's why I was doing what I was doing. It was because of that, and I got sick and tired. I mean, I'm experiencing kindness from these people. I'm experiencing patience from them. I've experienced righteousness. Where one of the people that I brought up there, a friend of mine, Alex and Stacy, they were the first ones to go up there to meet them. And Stacy had said something towards the end of the night where she's like, she said something, and my response was, "Well, I'd like to get more people involved because I think they could use the food." Well, we had dropped off another bin, and it was the same size that I left before. And this thing's probably, yay big, like so. I bought it from Walmart. It's got a top on it. And we packed this thing full of food, and it was even more packed when they came along because they brought their own stuff. And I went back a couple weeks later, and they didn't touch anything. As time went on, I realized when I'd come back and check, they weren't taking anything. Everything that could rot, rotted. Like when I first brought the food, I said, "Hey, guys, if you want to leave the bin for me, I'll go ahead and restock it when I come back up." And I left 36 cans of Dinty Moore, carrots, bread. What's that?
Denny Moore beef stew. Ugh.
Yeah, you had it?
Mm-hmm. I love Denny Moore beef stew.
Thank you.
Come on, man.
It's probably the best store-bought beef stew you can buy.
Yeah.
It's fucking fantastic.
100%.
Yeah, so I left them 36 cans, and I'm thinking they're like us, so I made sure they were the cans are about yay big. They had the pop top, I think they're about that thick, not the real big ones where you need a can opener, but it's got the pop top to them.
Yeah.
So 36 cans of that. I left them carrots, bread, apples, and that was when I left the food and said, "Hey, if you leave the bin, I'll come and restock it when I come visit." And in that event, that was the night where I asked them to give me the one sign, if it's okay if I bring people up here to meet you. When I came back, the bin was gone, and I was kind of upset. I'm like, guys, man, leave the bin. I'll come to restock it. But I told them, and again, this is where I started learning, pay attention to what you say to these people because they're listening. And I said to them, if you leave the bin, I'll come back and restock it. Well, they took the bin, indicating they don't want me to keep feeding them, right? I didn't pick up on that right away. Yeah, so when Stacy and Alex came a couple months later, we packed it with even more food. And I said to Stacy, well, I'd like to get more people involved because I'm sure they could use the food. And they left that bin and did not touch it at all. Everything that could rot could rot. The cans were fine, obviously, because they're canned. It was another 36 cans. Eventually, I took the stuff that rotted, the bread, everything, just threw it away. And I left the cans there thinking maybe they'll take the cans. And eventually, months later, the cans still did not get touched. Eventually, I took them back home just because they didn't want me feeding them. I didn't pick up on that right away. But after I initially fed them, I went back up there with my buddy Rob. We were going to do some camping with him. And they had left me 2 piles of crap to let me know that they got the food. Picture turds that have got the diameter of about 3 inches, about that of a Coke can, about 8 inches long. And then it went into a mush pile. And I could see where they were eating naturally to the point where they were eating the Dinty Moore, which they did eat the Dinty Moore. And they left me 2 piles nearly identical. And I was like, you people are effing awesome. I yelled out in the woods, you people are effing awesome. I would have rather gotten a thank you, but I'll take this. This is okay. And my buddy and I, Rob, we went up the way to go camp, and we just pointed our vehicles into the woods and found this nice spot at Ocala, about maybe, I don't know, I'd say about maybe 2,000-3,000 feet from where that's at. And I said, hey, we're going to go camping over here. If you guys want to come by, you're more than welcome to. And they did. And every time I go camping, it's, hey, guys, I'm going to go to Xanadu. It's what we call it, this spot. We're going to go to Xanadu. So if you want to come by, you're more than welcome to. And they always come by. They're awesome. I mean, eventually I did get to see one of them, and it was a kid. It was at night. In the moonlight, it was almost a full moon. And the reason why this happened was because, I said to him, it's kind of unfair. You guys can see me, but I can't see you. So they allowed me to see one of the kids. And it was about 6 feet tall, maybe seven, not huge. That hunched over again. There was no up and down running. It was a smooth going from right to left. And they went slow enough to where I actually could track with my eyes. And I stood up in my chair. Hey, come in, my friend. We've got some food, drink, whatever you want. Just come in and sit with us. And they didn't, but I got to see one of them then. That was the first time that time I could say I got to see one of them then. But the interesting thing was, when we were there, they had just done a controlled burn in the area, so there was ash all over the place. So the next day, we go looking for tracks, no tracks. And at this point in time, I didn't realize that they were multidimensional, and they've got abilities we just don't have. This is what's going on. So this story can go on and on and on. It'd be a lot easier just to be one-on-one on the phone, just because there's so much information.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, what is it, 9:06? I don't know how long you want to go for, but eventually Joe Holland, what I was going to get at was everybody that I brought up there has basically gotten their own encounter, their own experience with these people. Joe Holland I brought up, and he asked, that's right, we were talking about Joe Holland. So Joe Holland comes up and says, hey, how much did this cost? And I told him how much it was. And 45 minutes later, he comes back a second time. He goes, I've been walking around here. No, I'm sorry. He came by, introduced himself. The second time he came by, asked how much the stuff was. And I told him, he goes, well, how much was it to rent the spot? It was like, it's about $200. He goes, so you're like $1,500 in and you're not asking for a dime. No, just want to get the information out there, man. So he comes by a third time and he goes, I've walked around here 3 times and everybody's selling something except for you. You're giving these things away and they're pretty nice. He goes, what happened? And I looked up at him and I said, you're very clever. I'll tell you what happened. And I said, I spend time with these people once a month, and they've done things that make me laugh. They've shown me kindness, understanding, and again, they've shown me righteousness, like the whole bin with the food thing. If they wanted to be jerks, they could have kept taking the bin, let me keep feeding them, but they wanted to show me we don't need your food. Again, at this point in time, I didn't realize what Isaac blessing Esau meant in that you will live off the fat of the earth. Yeah, these people get access to whatever produces first before anybody else. he understood how important, like I said, it was for them to have full bellies, because they were the answer to the Nephilim problem. And I think Isaac understood that, because Isaac and his dad Abraham were dealing with the Nephilim. So if you got these two kids coming from Rebecca, and he's watching one particular one, the hairy one, have abilities that we don't have, and he's getting large, and you realize, okay, this is the answer, God's answer to the Nephilim problem. Man, I kind of understand why Esau was his favorite, and which the Bible says that Esau was Isaac's favorite. And it kind of makes sense when you realize they were dealing with this Nephilim crap. He's watching the first of a new people being created by the Lord to deal with this problem. I think he totally understood what was going on, which is why he said, you will live off the fat of the earth. And these people showed me, yeah, we don't need your food, dude. Stop bringing it, which eventually I did stop bringing it. So I'm telling Joe about what's taking place at this point in time, the kindness that they've shown, the righteousness, and they've done things that made me laugh. I said, I just fell in love with these people. And I'm sick and tired of them being referenced as the Nephilim. And I'm tired of our people. You know, some of us turn to drugs, alcohol. Some of us permanently escape reality, ending themselves. And I said, I'm sick of this crap, dude. And this is what, in my experience, this is what's going on. They responded to me calling them the Edomites. And then he started telling me his stories and showed me some of the pictures that he collected. And since that point in time, we've been friends. He's a pretty cool guy, very nice guy. But that's what took place with him. I ended up taking him up to, he asked me, hey, would you mind taking me up there to Ocala? Absolutely, I'll take you. Took Joe up there. And immediately after about 5, hey, this is Joe. I met him at the Bigfoot conference. You guys probably already know that. And Joe introduced himself. And about maybe 15 minutes later or so, we hear this cat noise going, like a cat in distress. I've never heard the sound before. And I said, oh, Joe, you hear that cat? You better go help it. So he goes looking into the woods, and he goes stomping in the woods trying to find this cat. And I'm hearing this, Well, he's out of my sight at this point in time. And he said this cat sound goes 30 feet up in the air in a tree, and it keeps going, and then it goes 30 yards in front of my Jeep, and it's still in the air, though. And so at this point in time, it is now on the ground, still making that sound, right? So he's coming around trying to find this cat. And it's daylight. It's about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And he's kind of like half running while bent over, trying to get this cat. And there's no cat. It's just the sound. And he said every time I got closer, the sound would get further and further away. And I'm watching this happen, and I'm laughing because I know there's no cat. There's no cat to be seen. The sound crosses over the road, and again, there's no cat. Just the sound goes, it transfers over to the other side of the road. And finally, he realizes that they're messing with him, and he stands up, and I'm laughing. I was like, dude, they're just playing games with you, dude. They're just having fun. He starts walking back, and about a half hour, maybe 45 minutes later, he asked me, he goes, do you think they did that because they know I love cats? I was like, oh, you love cats? I didn't know that. And so he started telling me about his cat. And I was like, yeah, I would suggest that's probably what they did. But what I would like to know is, how did they know you love cats? So you get involved in that mind reading thing. And it's like, there's evidence that these people have done, till finally one night I was just sitting there, and I said in my head, hey guys, and this is about 2 years after spending time with them. I said, hey guys, I just want to see if you can hear my thoughts or not. And I asked them to do 3 things. And over the course of 30 minutes, they did all 3 things. And I was like, son of a bitch, you guys can't hear my thoughts. And so I was like, yeah, I apologize. I hear your women are very attractive. Y'all know it's been a while since I've been with a woman. I'm, celibate. And I was just kind of wondering how that might work out with somebody who's 8-9 feet tall. And I'm sure that they were laughing at what I'm thinking. They understand. Look, yeah. I personally think that
just guys being guys.
Yeah, I think they get it. They get it. And the point is they never ran me out. And it was nothing vulgar in my head. I'm just, how would that work out with a good-looking 8 foot tall, 9 foot tall woman, somebody my size? I'm only 5'8". How would that work out if it could work out at all? And so, the point is they never ran me out. They knew what I was thinking, which, it was kind of a humbling thing. And I was like, I'm sorry, guys, if I offended anybody. And I genuinely did apologize. I did not realize that even that was true, too. I was like, God, man, you people are incredible. No wonder why no one's getting one up on these people. And if you know they exist, and I'll say this till the day I die, and this is what others have said too, and I used to snicker at it when I heard it, but I'll repeat what they said. If you know they exist, it's because they wanted you to know. They control the situation. You don't. You're not going to get one up on them. The best thing to do if you want to discover this is a fact, which you guys already know, if you want that friendship, say, hey, I heard you, we think of your Sasquatch, so we'll call you, but you're the Edomites. I want to know you guys are here. Would you do something? Don't be surprised if they do. But, don't stop going up there. Go befriend these people. I truly believe they want to be a part of our lives. Otherwise, we wouldn't even know they existed. They've got that ability to do so.
Yeah, on all my encounters, I would have never known they were there had they not vocalized in the first.
Oh, yeah. And the funny thing is, you heard that one that was down the way. You probably got 4 or 5 right around you.
Yeah. Didn't
even know it. As time went on, they showed me that. Oh, here's an example. I was watching Expedition Bigfoot. I can testify that watching that show, some of the video footage that they caught on camera is real. I've seen that with my own eyes, spending time with these people. And I can confirm you've got truthful information on that show. And I highly advise everybody go check that out. And one of the issues was, I think it's season 2, they kept talking about the cloaked Bigfoot. And lo and behold, at the end of the season, I believe it was, they got what seems to be a cloaked Edomite on camera. And with my buddy Rob, eventually I was at camp with my buddy Rob as time went on. I'm like, hey, man, have you seen Expedition Bigfoot yet? No, not yet. I was like, dude, man, you got to watch that show. I'm convinced these people can be invisible. Well, the next day we had things showing up at camp all of a sudden and didn't hear nothing, didn't see nothing. We're right there. We just turn our head, talking and look back and something's there. And I think what they were doing was they were showing us that, we can be invisible, dropping stuff off.
Maria Mayer, I don't know how to pronounce the name, on the show said that something ran really close right beside her in the open and she heard it but couldn't see it. That's what she said on the Expedition show. She said something ran right beside me. I felt it, but I couldn't see it.
But yet they're monkeys.
Yeah,
whatever, lady.
Whatever. Well, man, you've given us a lot of information. Do you have a place that people can go to check out? I know you have a Facebook page. But I mean, I want to put this out there for people. Again, he doesn't want to be a teacher. He's not a researcher.
No,
he's going out there doing this for his own benefit, his own experiences, and to continue, not habitual, because that's what you do with animals, but continue with continuing a relationship, companionship type of thing with
friendship,
them. He's not really sharing anything, but I mean, if people can get a hold, what I'll try to do, if any of you guys are interested, let me know in the comments. I can upload or copy and paste each page of his booklet, and I can put it on our Bigfoot Forest Giants page and our Okeechobee Bigfoot page. And you can read through the pamphlet and see everything that he's talking about word for word and what the Bible says, and make up your own minds. You can see the pictures of the buildings in Petra, the doorways with actual normal people standing inside them. Makes no sense. 3 or 4 people could stand on their heads and still not touch the top of the doorways.
Dude, Shaq couldn't reach the door handle.
Right. But Chris, man, I thank you so much for coming on. I'm glad that I took the time to wait in line, because once I was listening to you talk about it, I'm like, I'm hearing something I've never heard before, and this is fascinating.
Well, I mean, just so you understand, what I'm doing is just maintaining a friendship. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, I'm heading up to Ocala. I'm going to spend a few hours with them, and depending on the rain and depending on when the mosquitoes come out, I'll end up scooting. And like I said, every time I go, I play music. They like Nightwish. I don't know if you've ever heard a band called Nightwish out of Norway.
No.
Fantastic. I think you might like them. It's a symphonic metal band is what they, I believe is what they're called, or what they're I guess the category would be. They got an opera singer, Floor Jansen, phenomenal singer. I played that. They like Pantera. Hey, you guys like Pantera? And the forest kind of erupted with some noise. I played Nightwish. Hey, do you guys like Nightwish? And, the animal sound just erupted. What they did with me is they showed me like pattern recognition just so I could tell what's going on with them. Like when it first started, they were doing this insect sound, which I expressed concern about bringing people up there. I didn't want anybody to get hurt. And again, I didn't realize at this point in time the abilities that they've got. And this is after I'd asked, can I bring people up here to meet you? So one night I'm up there and this insect sound starts and it's going zzz, 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 zzz. And that's all it was doing. And this sound is all around me. And there was like a real intense, the last buzzing sound was very intense. Like they were saying, pay attention to this. So I go down by the lake and there's a couple here and there, but it's really concentrated around me. And I go to leave that night. And this is all that was done was just this insect sound. And I go to leave. And as I'm leaving down my drive, got my driver's side window down, I hear the same insect sound going on. Didn't think nothing of it. A month later, I come back and now it's a new insect sound, same spots, except it's a smaller insect, different kind of a sound. And it's all around me again, same thing. And I go to leave and it's the same, roughly the same spots as I'm leaving. Third time I come back a month later, it's another insect sound. I'm like, okay, you're showing me your numbers in the area. I address the issue. You're showing me how many people you got here. Cool. I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know. They were just wanting to put me at ease about their safety, that they're fine. They've got plenty of them around. I don't need to worry about anybody messing with them. So I say pattern recognition. That was one of those things that they've done with me to help me understand what they're doing or when they're doing it. Like I'm doing this, telling my story so others will get out there and do the same thing and come back. Hey, what did you learn? How are they dealing with you? Because what everybody's going through, man, I think it's tailor-made. I really do. I think that these people are claiming that they see monkeys. As time has gone on, I began to interact with more people that say, yeah, they can mess with our vision. So those people that said they saw a monkey, that may have been what they were made to see. Others are saying they're human beings. Biblically, they're human beings. They look like us. Ruth the Moabite was supposed to be quite beautiful. I'm sorry. The women of Moab were quite beautiful according to the Bible. So from everything that I'm hearing, man, it's they can mess with the eyesight too, as well as the sense of smell. I think the pungent stink that people are smelling, I think they're messing with our sense of smell. I've been with these people for hours and never smelt any stink, ever.
Yeah, that's one thing I've never experienced with any of my encounters was any kind of smell, other than my own stank.
Right, exactly.
But one other question I have before you go, when you mentioned you were playing music with them, did you ever by any chance, just for giggles, play like anything like the Sierra Sounds or anything like, or try to whoop back at them or try to tree knock and that kind of communication that we normally get?
No, I've been treating them like they're people. I talk to them like you and I, like my buddy Joe wanted to make a kind of a scene there at the convention there a few weeks ago, because when when I go pee up there, all right, I to let everybody, hey, don't nobody look. And I said, besides, you guys don't want to see my little baby dick anyway, because these men are probably quite well endowed, as big as they are. And so I let them know I'm going to go to the bathroom, which Joe found that funny when I did that when he was up there with me. I talk to them like they're guys, like they're people.
One of the guys, yeah,
exactly, yeah. I just treat them like they're you and me. I mean,
gotcha.
I wish that I could get the interaction back again in response, but it's just not happening. I mean, as time went on, I told them, hey guys, if you can make it to my house, if you guys want to watch TV when I'm out back smoking a cigar, you're more than welcome to. And eventually one day, it was about 2:00 in the afternoon, and I hear this loud ticking sound coming from my backyard. And I thought to myself, okay, this is too loud to be an insect, and birds don't make this sound. So I go out there and I'm looking around and I don't see anything. I got a travel trailer in my backyard and I got some trees and it's a fenced in yard, corner lot. It's not that big. It's a standard corner lot from any subdivision. There's nothing to see. So I go back down and started watching TV. 2 weeks later, I go back to Ocala and I hear that same ticking sound coming from the lake. And I've never heard that before when I'm out there. And I think what they were doing was showing me, hey, we're with you at your house. You said it was okay. So they gave me little clues that they were here, and they've done things periodically to let me know they're still here. Like, for instance, at one point camping with him, my buddy Rob mentioned that he loves cricket sounds, and so do I. To me, I just kind of pretend I'm in in the forest somewhere with my feet dangling in some babbling brook, and I'm relaxing, getting ready to fall asleep. That's the kind of imagination thing that I do in my head when I hear cricket sounds. Just relaxing. And I got cricket sounds around my house. This has been going on for over 2 years, maybe more. I can't remember exactly how long. I've never seen a cricket at my property, ever. Periodically, I'll hear like a cricket sound going a little bit louder to my right, and I'll look over and it'll stop, and I'll go back to watching TV. I hear a cricket sound, that same sound kick up again. I look over, it stops. I'll go back to watching TV. After about the third or fourth time, I realize they're just playing with me, so I start laughing. They're fun. They're fun. Yeah.
I've lived here since 2017. Haven't heard a cricket.
Really?
Yeah, not a cricket.
Dude, you
in our
want to
subdivision.
come to my house, dude. I've got them all around my house.
Yeah, they would be in my house, and when I lived back in Atlanta, they were in my house. Couldn't find them. Could hear them. Could track them. Couldn't find them.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, they've known you since you were a kid, man. They were probably with you. You didn't even realize it.
Yeah. Bob, you got any questions for Chris?
No.
I mean, there's more stuff that's taking place. I mean, there was when I first started camping with my buddy Rob, and I don't want to hold anybody up if y'all want to get going.
No, you're not holding me up.
Okay, I mean, it's just interactions, friendship things going on. There was my buddy and I found this spot off of the road, pointed our vehicles into the woods and went driving, found a spot, set up camp. We were there one night. The next night, he's like, "Hey, man, you might want to go up the way a little bit." And he took me up where he was kind of wandering around and found this better spot. That's the spot we call Xanadu, right? So we set up camp, and at this point in time, hey, Edomites, this is where we're going to be if you want to come hang out. And they did little things. The second night when we moved, he actually saw a tree kind of like waving really, really hard, and he asked me if I saw it. No, it's just the Edomites letting us know we're here. Not a big deal. Letting us know they're here. Not a big deal. So nighttime comes, and I go to bed, and I hear this rodent scurrying in behind my tent, and it's scurrying all night long, and it's making this rodent noise, and I can't tell you what animal this was supposed to be, but I said, "Hey, is this one of you Edomites back there making that rodent noise? If it is, have a good night. I love you very much. Appreciate it." So night wears on, and I'd wake up periodically, and that rodent noise is still behind my tent, scurrying around, making this little noises that they do. And all night long, that rodent never left. It was there the whole night. Well, at some point during the nighttime, I felt some gas building up, and I'm like, all right, cool. This is going to be a good one, right? So I let it rip, burp. And I hear this woman stifle her laugh behind my tent. I hear, and it was clearly a woman. And so I go back to sleep. My buddy wakes up. "Hey, how'd you sleep last night?" I'm like, "Dude, I slept great. I think one of their women was watching over me all night while I slept." And he went looking behind my tent about maybe, I don't know, 50 to 50 feet, maybe 100 feet away, something like that. And he says, "Hey, Chris, come back here. Check this out." And the day before, we saw those two big turds that I told you about before. Okay, well, there was a smaller turd that was left, about 8 inches long. The diameter was nowhere near as big as what the other ones were. And it was still something bigger that you and I could do. And it was the same content as the other piles that were left of what they were eating in the natural. You could see the same thing in what she had left. And she just did that to let me know that it was her. And I nicknamed her Sweetheart. So now whenever I go camping, I hear her come back behind me, and she watches over me all night when I'm sleeping. It's awesome.
Yeah. Back
in February, I was up there by myself camping with him. It was for about 3 days, 2 nights, 3 nights, something like that. I can't remember. I was by myself, which I prefer to go alone now because as I'm going to bed, "Hey guys, if you want to rock the forest for me, it's cool. It's okay if you wake me up 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock, don't care." And they'll do something. And man, they've sat me up in my sleeping bag, freaking heart pounding, and I'm listening. Okay, it's them. Thanks guys. I appreciate it. Like there was one trip that I did where I said that to them, and they did that sand crane call, and I wake up to that. I'm like, "No, I don't want to hear sand cranes call. You know what I'm talking about. Don't be smart asses." Well, the next night they delivered a picture. The next night that what they did for me was like picture like an 800-pound coyote just howling and doing this real sharp snapping bark. And I was like, and at that one I kind of started getting a little bit alarmed because I was like, man, maybe this is really one of these animals. And when they realized I was getting kind of worked up, they stopped. And sadly, they don't do it early morning like that anymore. They do it before I go to bed, which again, it's one of these things where they show me kindness, not by telling me, but by showing me as I react to different things that they've done. But this particular night, I go to sleep, and this is 2 months ago, and just back in February. I'm sorry, it was February of this year. I was up there camping by myself. And the first night, this mouse comes in. No, I don't hear anything touching deadfall. I just hear the mouse squeaking sound comes in, right? And I'm like, hey, sweetheart, if that's you, thanks for watching over me. Good night. Hey, if you take a nap while I'm sleeping, I hope you have sweet dreams, right? So that was Friday night. Saturday night, same thing. The mouse sound comes in. Don't hear any skirting. It's just this mouse doing the squeaking sound. Again, said my good nights to sweetheart. And then Sunday night, this was the third night, right around 8 o'clock in the evening, I felt I got to go to the bathroom, right? So I grabbed my shovel, and it's nighttime. I'm by myself. I walk back into the woods, and I start digging a hole about 75 yards away. And I've done this for the last 3 years, multiple times. I do the same thing, same process. And I've got this little crappy cap light on my hat, when you're camping for cutting steak and stuff, so you can see what you're doing around the camp. It's nothing real bright. So I'm going back there, and I'm digging this hole. And as I'm digging the hole, I put the shovel in, pop it up, turn, shovel in, pop it up. So I'm going in a circle, making this hole, right? Dig the dirt out, do my business, and I fill the hole back in, and I start walking. Well, like a dumbass, I wasn't paying attention to which way I was facing when I started walking. And I didn't realize which way I was facing when I got done digging the hole. So I started walking in the opposite direction. I got about another 100 yards away and realized I went the wrong way. There's no moonlight. I can't see shit. And if you've never been lost in the forest, man, it is just like they describe, man. All I hear in my head is my heartbeat. It's like
every tree looks the same.
Dude, and this is at night. I can't make anything out. And I've got this crappy light on. So I immediately turn around the opposite direction, start walking back. And now I'm coming across terrain that I don't recognize. Now I'm like, I'm cursing myself. You fucking moron. How could you have done this? And I'm there by myself. So I'm thinking, I know I'm in the area. I just don't know exactly where. And I'm walking, keep walking. And in the distance, off in the skyline, I see this group of trees. It's about 80 yards away from my camp. So I start walking that way, hoping that that's what that is. And I get up there, and I don't recognize crap. And I'm like, God, I need some help. Can you please help me? And I said, Edomites, I need some help. Can you please help me? And I hear that squeaking sound that Sweetheart makes to my right behind me. And I start panning around, which I had my Glock out at this point in time because it has a more powerful light. And it's not good enough to get me back to my camp. Well, I start panning around with my Glock, and I see a reflector about maybe 80 yards away. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, if this isn't my Jeep, I just need to, because in the area there's this ATV track and they got reflectors along the track. That's how I realized I went the wrong direction. Because I came up on this reflector thinking, oh, cool, there's my Jeep. And when I realized that was the trail, I'm like, crap, I need to go. I'll turn around, walk the other way. As I'm panning around with my light, I see this reflection off in the distance about 80 yards away. And I start walking in that direction. I'm thinking, if this is the trail again, I just need to sit down and wait out the morning. I know I'm in the area. I just don't know where. It's going to be a shitty night. And lo and behold, I start seeing the silhouette of my Jeep come in. And I realized Sweetheart got me back to my camp. And I said, thank you, Lord, so much for getting me back to my camp. Thank you, Sweetheart, for getting me back to my camp. And I said, all right, if Sweetheart, whoever your husband is, give Sweetheart big hugs and kisses for me. Thank you so much. And Sweetheart, if you got any kids line up and give Sweetheart big hugs and kisses for me. But ultimately, she got me back to my camp. And that was, like I said, being lost is freaking. That's the story that I told at the end of the booklet that I have. That was that event.
Yeah.
So later on that night, I decided 10 o'clock I was going to go to bed. And this is one of those moments. It's kind of, again, touching for me. I'm playing the music and cursing myself the whole time. I can't believe I did this. I can't believe how easy it was to get lost like that, especially at night. And I'm playing the music, and I'm looking at the time, and it's right around 9:30, 9:38. and that mouse sound behind my tent just starts going crazy, left, right, up like 10 feet in the air, back down, just all over the place. And I was like, okay, sweetheart, I'm going to go ahead and go to bed. I think what she was saying, all right, young man, you've had enough. It's time to go to bed. That's the way I took what was going on. So I went back to camp. I'm sorry, back into my tent, and she's back there the whole night making that mouse sound, and thanked her again and laid there for a few hours because I was so freaking worked up. Eventually I fell asleep, and that was the end of that trip.
Yeah.
But just the kind of experiences I've been having.
Yeah. And that's awesome. And I think, knowing that you've had those experiences and other people out there that may have had similar experiences might be able to put some pieces together of their own puzzle.
Yeah. Well, like I said, man, I hope everybody listens. I hope they go out in the woods. I hope they call out on the Edomites. I hope they befriend these people. And biblically, they've been rejected by us. It's part of the judgment that they're under. I mentioned that in my little book that I dealt with. What happened is when the Jews went into the Babylonian captivity, the Edomites were supposed to protect them. And as a nation, they did not. But there were pockets that did, but as a nation, they didn't. And because of that event, they're in the situation that they're in right now. Now, mind you, those Edomites are dead and gone. This is probably like, 3,500, 4,000 years ago, somewhere around there. These are their descendants. They got nothing to do with what happened. And, it's just the Bible says that one of the judgments that they would suffer is they would be rejected by us. And that's where I believe that we're at right now. Is I think what's going on is the judgment's starting to lift. They're getting excited. We're starting to come to this knowledge. And mind you, I'm not the only one out there that's saying, hey, I think they're the Edomites. It's just that so far I've got the best presentation that ties more stuff in together with the Moabites, the Ammonites, and so on and so forth that indicates that this might be what's actually taking place.
Yeah.
But you can absolutely befriend these people. Don't try to deceive them. If you spend time with them, they'll show them some of the stuff that they can do. Don't try to lie to them. I think that they can. I think they know us better than we know ourselves. Like with Joe, he heard that cat sound. I had no idea that he liked cats. They knew. Somehow they knew.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's awesome. I want to thank you for coming on and sharing all that with us. Like I said, I thought it was fascinating when I heard you talk about it, and when I read the book when I got home, and like I said, I read it 2 or 3 times. It's just when it's coming from the Bible, it means something, and so maybe other people will kind of open their mind to a little bit differently and take some of your advice, from what you've dealt with. But with that, we're going to get off here. Thank you again so much, Chris. Say your last name. Say your last name for me, because I've already forgot.
Cacace.
Cacace, like ka-ching, Cacace. Okay. Chris, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for being there. You're going to be at the next convention, you think? Or
I plan on it. Yeah, I plan on it.
That's awesome, because I know 2 years in a row I've seen you.
Oh, you were there last year too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think before we go, just people remember out there, he's not a researcher. He's not a teacher.
Nope.
And he's kind of given you a path and a direction, and he's now to get more of the answers that you need. He's guiding you in that direction.
Like I said, man, I hope that people go out in the woods, call on these people, to be a friend with them. I mean, they long to be a part of our lives. I truly believe that. It's just that they're limited in what they can do. I don't know if they can. I know some people claim they're talking to them. In my situation, they won't talk to me. I've begged for conversation. They won't do it. So I don't know if it's a one-on-one situation with everybody. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea what's going on that is. But man, they're a lot of fun. If you know what you're dealing with as a multidimensional, supernatural human being, they can be a blast. Yeah.
Well, I'll reach out to you tomorrow sometime.
Yeah, dude. If you ever want to call and talk, man, by all means.
Absolutely. And I'll reach out. And if anybody out there's got any friends, any family, if you've had an encounter yourself and you'd like to share them, please reach out to us at bfforestgiants@gmail.com and let us know about your story, your experiences, your encounters. Give us something that we can give out there to help people. Like all details matter. The smallest detail matters, because when you haven't had an experience before and you get different things that happen, a knock, a whoop, something, a smell or whatever, all these details, you get a bunch of puzzles together and it starts to add up, and it's it's the sudden realization of these things existing is what can change your life for for a negative, so just keep that in mind.
It'll definitely change you on some level. There's no doubt about that.
And you can either accept what you've seen and change your reality, and which most people, that's too hard to do, to change your entire reality now.
If I could add to what you just said, my advice, listen to David Paulides' Bigfoot Class 101 Part 1. He touches on the supernatural things these people can do. He's always said that they're a type of people, and get acquainted with the supernatural issue when it comes to this topic, because when you go out there and you see it happening, you're not going to be freaked out. You've already heard the stories. You already know what you're dealing with. They're people. They're just showing you what they can do. That way it's not going to be so damaging mentally, I guess. But like when I started seeing the orbs, okay, brought up the invisible issue, we had stuff showing up, okay. And with my situation that day with the things showing up, it was like, did you ever see Les Stroud's Survivor Man Bigfoot episode by any chance, where
I think so.
The apple stuck on the tree, then the camera was trained on the apple, and it just suddenly disappears?
Yep.
Our situation was just the opposite. We had just stuff showing up. We'd look away for a moment, come back, and suddenly there's something there. It was that quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, already having seen this stuff, heard the stories, it wasn't freak. Okay, they're just showing us that they're invisible. They can do stuff we can't do. No big deal. So
awesome.
It's just my advice, Ted. Yeah, what you said.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you, and maybe your friend that you were talking about, I think Joe, maybe he'd be interested in coming on.
Yeah,
I'll let you check with him and see if that's something he'd be interested in doing.
Absolutely.
All right, Bob, man, happy 4th.
Yep, you too.
Happy 4th, Chris. Everybody out there, happy 4th. Our mods for showing up. I mean, I can't say enough about Cashew and Miss Diane, because it was like 12 minutes before the show started. Oh yeah, hey, there's a podcast tonight. So they're always on point, and I don't mean to do that. It's just I should be better about it. That's what he said. Mike is always like, can you give me more than 6 minutes notice anytime we're doing this stuff? I'm like, no, I can't. I'm only focused on one thing at a time. But thank you so much. Yeah, and hopefully we can stay in contact, Chris.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah.
And Bobby lives up there in Denellen. Maybe sometime I can make a trip up there if you're ever interested in having us in your area. Yeah. And we can come out and do something.
I'll take you where I go. All I ask is that you leave the location unknown, because I don't want a bunch of people messing up what I'm doing, because it sucks when I go there and there's a vehicle where I usually park and I got to figure something else out. I just don't want the place getting swarmed. It's not that I'm concerned about them getting hurt. It's just going to be screwing what I'm doing with them.
Absolutely. No, we totally respect that. We totally respect that.
I got to tell everybody, I'll take you up there. I'll let them know who you are. And you guys introduce yourselves, and I'll warn you in front of them, hey, these are the Edomites. Don't make yourself an enemy to these people. The Bible says that he will destroy the enemies of the Edomites with the sword. So God is protecting these people on a level like nobody else. The Jews don't have this kind of protection. Born-again Christians don't have this kind of protection. And I just let you know, hey, don't make an enemy. Don't make yourself an enemy to these people, because they're going to come after you, and nobody can help you.
Yeah.
I truly believe that some of David Paulides missing 411. I believe some of these people are responsible for us going missing. I think what happens is they let themselves be known. Individual sees money signs in their eyes. They go back and want to try to maybe harvest one of these people, not knowing what they're dealing with, and they get taken out. It's just a theory, can't prove it, but to spend time with them and the way they backed away from me in my situation, understanding that I'm a born-again Christian. Most of these people I claim are born-again Christians. So we have to deal with each other in a different manner because we're brothers and sisters in Christ. Read the Bible, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And had we instigated it, which mind you, that's just an example of their righteousness that I've talked about. They could have instigated the issue to justify taking us out, but they just flat backed off. My opinion, I don't think they want to hurt us, but I do believe that they're brought to the point where they have to. And it's just a theory, can't prove it, but I do believe that they do take us out from time to time. I suspect they give us the opportunity to leave if they don't want you around. And if you come back and you become a problem, we might not see you again. David Paulides will be talking about you in a few years. So
Yeah.
I mean, well, here's a situation. A buddy of mine, Ed.
Finally, I'd be popular.
Yeah, my buddy that I was telling you, the hunter that I talked about earlier, he goes out to Green Swamp, and they're out in Green Swamp too, Ridgeloam area, right here around the Claremont area. And there's a creek out there called Devil's something, and Pilates has always said that, you know, if there's a devil, some sort of indication like that in the name of an area, there's usually high strangeness that goes on.
Yeah.
And for the heck of it, he went and researched this area to see if anybody's gone missing. And lo and behold, there was a report back in 2000, 2004 in that time frame where some old dude hunted his whole life in that area, went back, never got seen again. And I suspect what happened is he's ending my guess, he was ending the end of his life, and the Edomites let him know, you know, hey, we're here, you know, just to get your brain jogging on something about the Bible, whether it's Nephilim or you figure out that the Edomites, whatever the case is. And I think they did that. And rather than I think what he did is he went out there probably trying to harvest one of these people, not knowing what he was messing with, and they ended up taking him out. Yeah. But it was interesting that my buddy, because he hunts in that same area too, he was wondering, hey, if there's any stories of anybody going missing in this spot. And lo and behold, he found one.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah. All right. With that note of death and dismemberment and all that.
Look, it's like I said, I think in my situation, they backed off because they understood we had no idea that who they were, what we were messing with, and they were saving us from ourselves. We did not know. Yeah. I know that people talk about these military kill crews and shit, and it's like, dude, you spend time with these people and they show you some of the things they can do. Where's the bodies at?
Yeah, truth be told, some of us need saving from ourselves many more times than we want to admit.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, guys, we're going to call it an end. Everybody, thank you so much for your time. Chris, Bud, thank you so much for being here. Bob, I'll talk at you later. We'll go ahead and end it. I'll play this song and put up a little picture, and we'll see it at that. All right, guys. I'll talk at you later. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you again, guys.
I've seen them in the woods of Carolina. I've heard them in the mountains of Tennessee. Been around them in the swamps of Florida, and in many places in between. There's something in those woods and the hollers across this nation, in the mountains and the swamps on the edge of civilization. Forest giants in the shadows where the old pines still sway. Footprints in the mud where the wild things play. From the hollers to the bayous where the black water runs beyond the firelight, away from everyone. Forest giants still walk these lands. All across the nation, just outside the light, on the edge of civilization. Old folks whisper stories passed down around the fire. Screams beyond the ridge line, and eyes shining through the briars. Deep inside the cypress, where the Spanish moss hangs low, something moves at twilight that the world may never know. Forest giants in the shadow, where the old pines still sway. Footprints in the mud the cities or under neon lights. That where the mountains breathe and the swamp folk starts to rise. You can doubt the story, say it's all folklore and lies, till you hear that knock on your leg and something answers to your right. Forest giants in the shadows where the old pines still sway. Footprints in the mud where the wild things play. From the hollows to the bayous where the black water runs beyond the firelight. Away from everyone, forest giants still walk these lands. All across the nation, just outside the lights, on the edge of civilization.